My name is Victor Robbins. I'm here at the Master Barbershop Reality Barber Show, and this here is Roger LeClaire, a master barber himself, also known as the last white barber in Compton, the great white barber in Compton. How you doing today, Roger?
Well, if I was doing any better, I'd be dangerous.
That's pretty good. What made you become a barber, Roger? How did you become a barber?
Well, shortly after World War II, I was working as an aircraft mechanic, because that's what I did in the Navy. And I went to work for the Army as an aircraft mechanic out at what is now LAX, but at that time it was called Mines Field.
Mines Field?
Yeah, Mines Field. It was not LAX at that time. And the Army had a hangar there. So I was one of the mechanics taking care of Army aircraft that came in. And I worked there about 2 years or a little more. And my dad was a barber, and you know, I just kept thinking I'd like to get into something of my own instead of working for somebody else or something else. I finally decided to go to Barber College on the GI Bill. And that was the start of the whole thing. And from after I graduated from college, I went to work with my dad as an apprentice on Atlantic Boulevard in Compton. And I served my apprenticeship, and at the end of it, I bought my dad out because he had another location in Linwood and that he was going to move into. So now I have my own shop. And so I had a little two-chair shop there for 4 or 5 years. And time went on, and this location at the corner of Bullis and Compton Boulevard in Compton came up. What turned out to be a fantastic location right on the corner.
How did you end up? How did you and your father end up in Compton?
Well, my dad had started in Compton during the war, in World War II.
So at the time, Compton was basically predominantly all white.
Yeah, it was all Caucasian at that time.
Okay.
So it, you know, as time went on, at the location that we're describing now, the main location in Compton and Bullis, I put those pictures up, and the place went wild. I mean, people were coming out of the woodwork for haircuts. I couldn't put enough chairs in there, you know, quick enough to, and hire barbers to take care of it, but you know, I did. And so eventually it grew from a 2-chair shop to a 9-chair shop. And boy, we were off and running for a long, long time.
So,
and, you know, I had a shoe shine stand, had a manicurist eventually, and hairstyling came in, you know, where we were shampooing men's hair, which men had never had done in barbershops. At first they were kind of reluctant to lay back and get their hair shampooed, but what I did, I would say, if they were being a little reluctant, I'd say, have a seat. The first time around is on the house. And if you don't like it, we won't do it no more. And boy, from then on, I couldn't keep them out of that shampoo chair. They first day that we were going to open, and so as I approached my front door, and, you know, I realized that these people were there to get their hair cut, flat tops and businessman's cuts and all different styles, you know, whatever they wanted. So what I did, that was actually the beginning of appointments in barbershops, which had never been done before. So I told these people, I said, you know, there's 30 or 40, 50 people here. I said, I'm sure none of you want to wait that long. I said, you know who's first, you know, so I handed out numbers, you know, like 1 to 10 to 15 that wanted to stick around and get their haircut. So I told the rest of the people, I'll give you, you tell me when you want to come back, and I'll give you a time, an appointment. And appointments had never been done in barbershops before, but that was the start of it for me anyway. And it worked out beautifully, you know. People didn't have to wait when they came back, so that, boy, from then on, that week and that month and so on was just a work, cut, man. I mean, it was hard to keep up with the flow of business. It just kept coming.
And we want to go up to like 1965.
Yeah.
When at the height of civil rights.
Oh yeah.
And everything, when they had the Watts riots.
Yeah.
And racism was going on and everything.
Yeah.
At the height of civil rights, Roger entered a hair show, and he won first place. What cut did you win first place on?
Well, this was a California hairstyling show they used to hold every year. So I just entered just for the heck of it, and I entered in the flat top haircut thing, and then the businessman's cut, and then I even got into the afro cut, because by this time I had acquired my instructor's license, so cutting afros was no problem for me. And in fact, I laughingly say it was a piece of cake, you know. But anyway, I got lucky that day, and I won all 3 divisions. And, that was the height of my career at that moment, you know. It was kind of fun. And a couple of the black barbers that also were in the cutting the afros, they came over and congratulated me, and they kind of, one of them said, boy, I can't believe I saw a white guy do a number on an afro, you know. I said, well.
So in the height of civil rights, when everything, a lot of racism was going on in the world, you, a barber, the last white barber in Compton, won a hair show doing an afro. How did you do that? How did you create that in your mind? What happened that day for you to get this black barber, the model, to come sit in your chair?
Best of my recollection, the hairstyle show people that were running it, they provided the models. So you didn't bring a model. You just took whoever they presented you with. So you just had to go with the flow, you know.
So what, to you, Roger, what makes a master barber and a master barber shop?
Well, it shouldn't be difficult to put it in a few words. You just have to be dedicated and love it, love the kind of work you do, and like people, understand people, try to understand them to the best of your ability. And somehow or other, the good Lord gave me that ability to where I was able to communicate.
If you put together a shop,
yeah,
right now, what would you want your barbers to?
First thing would be attitude, you know, and then dedication, and then ability, you know, ability to do the job, to do the type of cuts that that are now popular or become popular. And as a side note, something comes to my mind. My dad was a barber all his life. He started working in a barber shop when he was 11 years old. as an apprentice way back in Massachusetts, New Bedford, Massachusetts. And that's what he did all his life, being a barber. So one night on a Friday when we had open session about, you could talk about anything, just don't get nasty, you know, open forum, and people were talking about the racial thing at the time, as it was in that time of the riots. And finally somebody said, my dad Tony, they said, Tony, what do you think about all this? And at this time Dad was in his 60s, 65 or so. He had no formal education, but he had common sense. He said, well, he says, I don't understand everything, but he said, thought comes to my mind that if God ever made a mistake, he gave man eyes. And now if man did not have eyes, he wouldn't be looking at the other fellow and saying, well, he looks like this, he looks like that, I don't like his looks, he's black, he's white, and so on and so on. He said maybe, you know, people would listen to each other and not just come down on each other because of the color of their skin or the way they think or the way they look. So, boy, the shop went real quiet. And the shop was full that night. I mean, we must have had 30, 40 people in there. And like I say, Dad had no formal education. He quit school when he was 12 years old, I guess. And at the end of his little talk, it was real quiet, and somebody started clapping, and they gave my dad a big round of applause in the barber shop. That was very, very unusual. I don't think I've never seen it happen before or after. But it brought tears to my eyes, I'll tell you. I didn't realize my dad was as observant as he was, considering he didn't have any formal education. But he was a true liker of people. He loved people, and it didn't matter who they were. His name was Tony LeClaire.